Hi everyone, my name is Franz Munakisi and this is Living Precepts with Nawesi. You're watching Lerato Dube's interview. Stay tuned in.
When I walk through the valley of death, me I stand on something. Now you want the way they say the compass, see the ginger my body.
Coming up on Living Precepts.
Oh, hello. Welcome once again.
Thank you so much.
To the studio. The first time when I interviewed you were not here. An author, a very powerful woman indeed, who is also an advocate for women empowerment. And that's who I am from my background. So I've been a scholar all my life, and I continue to be. And every teacher is a scholar. A teacher that is not a scholar, I don't know what is it they're teaching, right? So I've been a scholar.
Cause my father, he has won it up and I know before. Surely your goodness just they follow me, they go.
A very blessed day to you, beloved, wherever you are, and welcome to another exciting, great episode right here on Living Precepts on Africa USA Radio. It's exciting today because I just happen to be with one of my favorite authors, and she's not a stranger in this place. This is not the first time. That's why I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this episode for so long, since last year, girl.
Yes, I know.
To do this, and I'm happy that it finally happened. And she goes by the name of Lerato, an author, a very powerful woman indeed, who is also an advocate for women empowerment. Let me tell you, and the woman is loaded. You'll hear more about her as we venture into this interview. And she's got a very interesting book that she'll be sharing about Are You Divorcing a Narcissist? Hey, girls, please stay tuned. You don't want to miss out on this. For you girls, for you ladies who've been going through, are victims of toxic relationships, abusive relationships, you're still staying there, you don't know what to do with the situation. This is an episode for you not to miss. So she's right here with me in the studio, and we're gonna dive into whatever we are here for, so that you can be inspired, empowered. And this episode, I believe you at home, especially you women who is experiencing problems in your relationships, in your marriages, this is gonna be very helpful for you. So we are going to tell it all about her book, Are You Divorcing a Narcissist? Or are you in a narcissistic relationship? This is what this episode is all about. Looking forward. Let's bring her in as we introduce her. Hi, Sis Lerato.
Hello, Naomi.
Welcome once again.
Thank you so much.
To the studio. The first time when I interviewed you, you were not here.
No, I was online.
Yeah, actually did it online, virtually. So I'm really happy and excited that today we get to intimate one-on-one.
Yeah.
And talk and be open enough about this thing and facing each other, face to face. So tell us a bit, for those viewers at home who may not know what Lerato is, give us a little bit of your background, who you are, where you come from, and the purpose of this interesting book that you've written. Are You Divorcing a Narcissist? What really motivated you to write this book? But first, tell us about a little bit of your background.
Okay. Well, I'm Lerato. I hail from the Eastern Precepts. That's how
my home.
Your home.
That's one thing that you and I resonated, because Paul was born in the Free State.
Yes.
And right in Bloemfontein.
Voila.
Yeah.
And I'm in Clark. Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I stayed and grew up with my parents and my siblings.
Yeah.
And my mother's still staying there. My father has passed on 2 years ago. And I have been
2 years ago.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, 3 relatively, now that we're in 2022. No, just way after.
Way after COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, way after. But all good and well. Yeah, we understand he was also elderly. And so, yeah, I guess sometimes some things come to an end.
Yeah.
And but at least he had grandkids. I was older.
And you're older.
And even at the time, I think I had already even started this work. And so I think
at least you got to see
Yes.
what's accomplished. So
Yeah. and even pivoted into this work and getting his support and permission. And yeah, that's who I am from my background. So I've been a scholar all my life, and I continue to be. And every teacher is a scholar. A teacher that is not a scholar, I don't know what is it they're teaching, right? So I've been a scholar all my life. Compulsory school, of course, I did go to compulsory school, and I chose the sciences. And so I wasn't even thinking I'll be an author. But the benefit of having basic education is understanding how to read, write with comprehension. Gave me that foundation. And so as I went through my life and being a scientist, being trained in science, having to do a lot of work, especially when I got to postgraduate where I became a researcher, I started to see that I actually love puzzles and putting things together, asking the big questions of why. And so that has been what has been driving me, what drove my career. And at some point in my career, I met a very handsome man to my eyes at the time. We started a family. And so now my eyes shifted from just work and being a scientist to understanding life and bringing myself to understand relationships and marriage. And so in the midst of that, that's when the skill of putting puzzles together, asking big questions why, came in. And I think one of the biggest questions that I have is, why have we normalized toxic relationships? It's literally us normalizing it. So for me, it was, why did we normalize it? Why am I accepting it? Is it really toxic? Because every time you go out to look for advice, not therapy, advice from friends, family, and anybody in the supermarket who cares to listen, you seem to get a lot of coping mechanisms that are taking you back into the toxic environment. So for me, I really needed to understand why. And so that also brought another question. Who am I? Can I give myself permission not to affiliate to these kinds of environments? Yes. And also, it also comes up with a lot of resistance to yourself and from other people. Because once you give yourself that permission not to affiliate, you then kind of like become isolated, I would say. So in the thinking space, you're going to be in conversations with people that still want to complain. Now you want to move on. You don't want to complain. You want solutions. They are happy being victims. And now this becomes the subject of most of the women's gathering together. And most of the conversations you have with friends. And at the end of the day, you also make new friends and new acquaintances based on these wounds of toxicity. And the workplace, where was my other question? Why does the home front look like the work front? And this is where because at the time I had identified my marriage to be very toxic. But the same character.
How long in your marriage did you get to the point where you found out that this is really toxic? How long were you in your marriage at that time?
I hope you're grounded in your chair. Because that was 6 months.
Are you
in the
serious?
Yes. I lasted a beautiful 3.5 years. And so
it's still early.
So I was told that it was still early. But you see, when you have been questioning the habits, the traits, the conducts, even in society, where you understand that you don't necessarily fit into it, but you find a way of coexisting with everybody else.
So coping mechanism.
Yes. And as you get into a marriage and it's not what you think it is and it's not what you think you know it to be, then you start to actually look back and say, I'd rather not be here. Because one, it doesn't feel good. Toxic relationships, they don't feel good. You also you start to question a lot of things because you now have to embody a woman that you are not and have to live with her. So for me, at that juncture,
you leave a false version of
who I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And therefore I had to now impose the values of other people that want to define who a woman or a wife is. And therefore I could not connect with that woman. I had to live with her for 2 years, going on 3 years. And I didn't like her. I didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't like who I had shelved myself into. And now the person that was coming out every day of my life, I knew this. And so I guess in those first 6 months, that's when I started having the questions, which then led to the birth of the concept of the book.
Writing.
Yes, of writing that
book.
Because as soon as I left that marriage, and secondary to that, as soon as I left the workplace, that didn't have a way of accommodating the non-toxicity.
Sure.
Then I started to look at myself as perhaps, as always, I'm the wrong person. And therefore, this is how I have to get myself out of that. So as soon as that was done, going through the healing process, having to coexist and co-parent with my ex. And this is where I came up with the title, not divorcing, but are you divorcing? Meaning, are you in the process? It's not finalized yet because my divorce took 6 years. And in the 6 years, I was just wondering, how do other people cope? Because nothing is final. But life has to go on. The sun rises tomorrow and it sets. But your life is not normal. So how do I take the abnormal, make it the new normal? And now still coexist with the process of divorce and still find a way of parenting with a person that, we've turned to be enemies.
Interested to know, like, what were the after effects of you going through that challenging process? During that time, after you went through the divorce, and you say your divorce lasted for about 6 years. I wonder how you managed to get over that, to actually weather through that challenge, and how did you cope? What were the after effects of your divorce and the experience, the traumatic experience that you went through?
Okay. I would say it's an awakening of some sort, because there's always beautiful things that come out of bad things. And one of the beautiful things is the awakening that I need to give myself permission to be me, or else I'm going to perish before I become myself. And so from that awakening, the other after effect is understanding that I am in such a deep depression, and this thing is trauma. It's trauma. It's not normal. I have to go through a process of healing. And so that was another thing that I had identified. That was the after effects of this point. It pressures your soul to a point that not only do you have to find the self, but you have to find yourself spiritually and understand that spirit that had died now has to resurrect.
Embarking on a new journey.
Voila.
Yeah. Let's keep it right there as we go to the break.
I'm a stallion, and I ride on like a champion. Cause my father, he has won it up, and I know before. I'm a stallion, and I ride on like a champion. Cause my father, he has won it up, and I know before. Prepare.
Welcome back to the second inset. We are speaking about a very, very interesting book written by Lerato here, by the name of Are You Divorcing a Narcissist? Which talks about her story, what she went through in a very toxic relationship, a toxic marriage, of which I believe most of you can identify with it, especially you women at home. One thing about us women that I have noticed is that we stay in such relationships. We don't want to talk. We don't want to come out because we are afraid. What will people say when we come out? But I must say, Ms. Lerato, I applaud your courage I applaud your confidence to really say, I'm coming out of this. Be bold enough and represent those women, and also give them courage to also be an example to them that it is not okay to stay in such toxic relationships. I love the subtitle of your book, Get Your Power Back. Get your power back. What really gave you the courage to get your power back and be so courageous to even write this book to inspire and encourage other women that it's not okay. It's okay to get out. It's okay to leave that space and be the person that you're supposed to be, that God created, intended to be. Get your power back. How did you plug that kind of courage? Because many women can do that job.
Yeah.
And they are not doing it. They are still staying even today.
In that journey, and I credit my parents for this, even though maybe not in a good way. I grew up in an environment where most women, or all women, were groomed to give their power away.
Yeah.
Because the normal thing is you are made, you are born to serve a man, to cater for them, to make it comfortable for them. But there is no way, even in the household, where as a girl, you are taught to start with yourself. You are always taught to serve. Now, it's even worse as you grow up, because we are groomed to understand that if you want to be a good wife, this is what you do. Who will marry you if you do this? As if your whole life is around it. So even if you can be a rebel and renegade those kind of standards, go and become very educated, get out of the shell that you are groomed into being, eventually life would lead you to wanting to experience relationships, marriage, all these other standards that the society lives in. And the unfortunate thing is, when you get there as a girl that has been groomed not to look at yourself, not to even know that you have the power, because sometimes, because of the normality of the situation and how it's normalized, how now it's engraved into our culture, it's engraved into our religion, and
talking
even
about religion, also the issue of submission has been so much misused and misinterpreted.
Agreed.
Hence, we find even women, even in the churches, even in the religious sector, there's so many women who are abused within the space of a religion, and in the name of Christianity, in the name of obedience, in the name of submission. But you are staying there when you are being abused, you can feel it's not okay. And it's like you are sitting there, you are a doormat, and you are accepting the situation, saying this is submission, even if it's not submission according to God's standard, according to how God intended submission to be, which is another topic that we should talk about another day.
Certainly. Well, mark that. But certainly, even for that, remember, sometimes when you are building a society, you've got systems, and within those systems, you make sure that the education system just enforces the religious system. The religious enforces, all of it has to enforce, such that you can have a society that you can control. You have people
you are socialized.
So because you're socialized like that, there is nothing wrong. When you grow up in an environment or in a community where girls wear skirts, it's going to be very difficult for you just to decide that you're wearing pants. I mean, look at how even at a religious societal environment, how wearing pants.
And when I stand there on Sunday wearing pants, wearing pants, I'm looked at funny. Like, people no longer concentrate on my message, but on what I'm wearing, as if it's awesome.
But you see, perhaps even in your church, people have been socialized differently. Now, if you go back to those traditional churches where they still believe that girls and women should wear dresses. Sometimes we go to funerals of colleagues and friends, and the first thing that you have to know about the funeral is there a dress code so that I can conform for a short space of time. But now if the norm is that's your whole life and you've been exposed to different, then you must understand that you don't understand life the way others understand it. Yes, or not even the way others understand it. So when you find yourself in a toxic environment, if you and your spouse know this to be the normality, voila, there's nothing wrong with it. I can come and say this is not normal. That woman doesn't understand that is not normal. And you know the feeling is the same feeling that I have. And so I guess I took that opportunity of having the gift of teaching to want to understand why we stay, such that I can unpack it in my book. Because one of the chapters is, why did you stay? Why did you choose the narcissist? Why did you stay?
What unpacking, in your book? What are some of the things that you unpack which happen to be behind what you're trying to portray to women going through what you
it's understanding how you've been socialized, and then choosing what is it that you're going to live as normal, and then understanding how others are not serving as a human being, not just as a woman, not as a man, as a human being. And then understand that there are societal standards, but there are also your standards. The values of society might not necessarily be your values. So when I come into this place with you under the emblem of the radio station that you work for, if I don't affiliate to it, I will not come. If our values are not aligned, I will not come. But only because I know how to put myself first. But if I didn't know, I will do it because it's an interview. I will do it because Naomi was so nice when she asked. And I'll never know how to say no because I've been groomed to serve others first. So to get my power back, I had to understand that sometimes I have to stand on grounds where I may not have support. But I am starting to find my path outside of that. Because even when you look at people that have made it in the world, you look at their circle now and their circle then, only few of those that they knew then may come on the path with them now, because maybe they've been on the same journey. But majority of the time, you may find yourself all on your own, like Jesus Christ on the cross.
Lerato, thank you so much. This has been inspiring. This has been educational. This has been insightful. I mean, one package in everything. And I wish to have you again sometime very soon so that we can empower our women and help them to get out of these toxic environments, toxic relationships that they are so afraid to get out of. But thank you so much. And may God continue to increase you, use you, empower you even more to be a vessel that will help other women to actually, come out of this toxicity and become all that God intended and created them to be. So thank you so much. Looking forward to see you again next time. Thank you, beloved, for watching. And we hope to see you next time. Same place right here on Africa USA Radio on Living Precepts. See you next time. Be blessed.
I'm a stallion, and I ride on like a champion. Cause my father, he has won it up, and I know before. I'm a stallion, and I ride on like a champion. Cause my father, he has won it up, and I know before.